Today, I will discuss a post apocalyptic drama film referred as Carbon. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The film plot is set in the year 2067 when the Earth has become a barren wasteland as a result of global warming, drinking, and oxygen. Water is only accessible to wealthy. Because of amount of carbon in the air, breathing is difficult. It is nearly impossible to be out in the open areas. Partially clean air is supplied to houses and buildings. However, outside of them, people are required to wear masks in order to survive. A human in good health, if they do not wear specialized oxygen masks, they will suffocate in about 5 minutes. Oxygen, which was once a natural part of the environment, has become a product of $1 million. Companies produce artificial oxygen in large quantities and sell it at exorbitant prices. Because only the wealthy can afford it, the government provides oxygen to the poor at an reasonable cost. However, such oxygen is of poor quality and it has the potential to kill you over time. The majority of humans have fled to Mars by taking gallons of oxygen and water, as the people on Earth are becoming more violent. Among all types of oxygen, natural oxygen is still available and it can be found in Himalayas, and it is the most in-demand oxygen. It sells for millions of dollars and even rarer than diamonds. People were so desperate of oxygen a few years ago that it resulted in several murders as well as protests. Since then, the government has strictly prohibited the extraction of natural oxygen. Likewise, the wealthy are not permitted to trade or purchase it. When the smuggling of this type of oxygen began, the government passed a new rule that prohibits people from leaving their homes after 6 pm. Anyone seen in the public place during night curfew will be shot immediately. Random Shukla, a 30-year-old man, is the film protagonist. He was born in the year 2037 in Mumbai, India. He suffered from a heart failure as a result of conditions of his surroundings. As soon as he took his first breath, he was dead. Along with him, 43% of newborns had an heart failure. They have been surviving with assistance of artificial heart. Random is required to carry a bag containing a device attached to his chest all times. It is called pacemaker. Because of his artificial heart, he is permitted to carry 2 cans of oxygen with him wherever he goes. This aids him smuggling it. Random wakes up in his cell at the start of the film. He shares his room with a number of employees. The government declares that supply of oxygen will be blocked for a short period of time in the morning. Since there is a high traffic, people are advised to wear masks even they are in indoors during the time. It is a typical day for Random until his associate summons him to a meeting with a client named Yakub, who is willing to pay them millions of dollars to smuggle 2 cans of natural oxygen. Someone from the client side comes to pick up the oxygen cylinders, but because the security is tighter these days, Random must put his life in danger by going to the client. He accepts the job right away because he needs money. His ultimate goal is save enough money to travel to Mars and begin a new life. Random and his associates go to the building to meet Yakub. Yakub is a gangster and a famous oxygen smuggler in Mumbai. This man has contact all over Mars and provides pure water and Himalayan oxygen to wealthy. Random informs him that he has a license to transport natural oxygen and the job will not be difficult. Yakub men tears Random clothes to see if he is telling the truth. When they tear, they see a blinking device attached to his chest. He felt more at ease. The boss makes them an offer of $10 million. For this typical job, they should get at least 40 million rupees. The Random bargains. Yakub, who is skeptical of Random's abilities, challenges him to game of arm wrestling. According to him, a smuggler requires more courage than a license to close a deal. The game has begun. During this time, Yakub removes his oxygen mask and orders Random to do the same for a fair match. Random soon has trouble breathing and must deliberately lose in order to wear the mask again. Yakub is impressed by his bravery, agrees him for $40 million. Now Random must bring 2 cans of natural natural oxygen to other side of checkpoint and hand them over to Shah, a Mars client. He must return with the money before evening curfew. If not, the deal will be deemed a failure and both Random and his associate will be killed. Random is in a metro station which also serves as a checkpoint in the following scene. Random has cans of oxygen in his bag and if checked, it will be identified as illegal oxygen. Random is hoping that he will not be checked because he has a license. The security officer will not go out of this way to inspect the oxygen can, but he is so nervous that he freezes when his turn to enter. Just as he predicted, after scanning the license, the officer does not inspect the cans and let him go. He offers him advice. Random must not lose his license or he will spend the rest of his life in prison. Sometime later, he arrives at an apartment where the client Shah is waiting for him. Shah was flown to Mars by his wealthy parents when he was 5 years old. He survives on high quality food, artificial oxygen, which is still inferior to natural oxygen. As a result, the man is constantly interested in purchasing natural oxygen cans. He has recently returned to Earth for the same reason. Random notices a glass of water on the table. He can't help to stare at the clean water, which is usually reserved for wealthy. Shah asks him to have that cup of water. He refuses the glass of water and gets right down to the business. Shah claims that residents of Mars only visit Earth for a pleasure or a business. Random picks up on the hint and brings out the cans of fresh oxygen. The oxygen was collected and packed at the height of 800 meters above sea level. It is non-toxic and completely natural. Shah examines the cans and appears to be impressed. When Random asks Shah for a payment, he hesitates and he even tells moisture may have been mixed into the oxygen, which means he can't pay without first testing it. Then Random tells even if the oxygen has been depleted, it is the final batch of oxygen which is from Himalayas. Even though it has moisture, this type of oxygen will also be soon extinct. He advises the client to take this an opportunity and buy it, but the Shah refuses it. Random suspects Shah and the both get into an heated debate. As the two get into a heated debate, Shah mentions the earth is about to shake violently. The coffee table begins to tremble as he says this. Random notices that the table is actually a box with something or someone inside it. Shah and Random do not acknowledge the shaking and continues to bargain. They do not last long. The box has moved again. Random has arrived to end of the deal peacefully, but upon seeing that client, he pulls out a gun because Shah refuses to pay. Shah, on the other hand, is not one who does not have a backup. He too aims a gun at Random. Random appears to be nervous, whereas Shah appears to be excited. He claims that life on Mars was boring and their conversation gave him a rush of adrenaline. Random shoots the man in the head and kills him in a matter of seconds because he realized that only one of them could escape alive, so he seized the only chance he had. After that, he opens the box that is moving and he is very surprised to see a girl inside. She is bound and gagged and she appears to have been kidnapped. Unsure of what she is capable of, he points his gun at her as well. The girl freezes in shock. He freed her hands. Random threatens her with death if she does not stay low and quiet. When they are talking, the girl reveals that the man Random just killed is not Shah. The real Shah body lies in the bedroom. It turns out the man Random had been speaking up with was just acting. He was actually a hitman who had just recently assassinated Shah. Furthermore, the young lady reveals that hitman was about to smuggle her to Mars before the Random arrived. Random understands that if he returns to Yaqub without money, he will die. As a result, he takes a look around the house and discovers several gallons of clean water. He almost doesn't believe the treasure in front of him. He wants to smuggle them out. The containers have an inbuilt security system, which means that if someone tries to smuggle them out, they will be apprehended. Then it is announced that evening curfew has been implemented. Random's deal has been failed, so he'll be killed if he returns to home. He needs to think quickly of a way to flee the city before Yaqub discovers him. Yaqub is waiting impatiently. When he finds out that curfew has been imposed, he removes Random friend's oxygen mask and eventually suffocates the man to death. Back in the apartment, Random inquires the girl's true identity. She introduces herself as Pari and claims Shah purchased as a refugee. He intended to take her to Mars as his mistress, but as soon as she arrived, the hitman had already killed Shah and was holding her hostage. Random's artificial voice is heard as two converse. His heart warns him of overheating. Pari realizes she is making him nervous, which makes him blush even more. When asked what she wants to do now, Pari says she wants to travel the world. Surprisingly, she keeps saying the same thing over and over again as her voice becomes increasingly robotic. Random asks her if she is okay and soon realizes she is just a programmed robot. She believes that she is a human. Pari malfunctions and loses power, leaving Random alone. He intends to flee at the moment the curfew is lifted. Out of curiosity, he breathes the Himalayan oxygen. It does not go well because there is a strong odor of clean oxygen. He passes out as a result of lack of oxygen. When he wakes up in the next morning, Yaqub and his people are standing in front of him. They tie him to a chair, assuming he killed Shah for the money and gallons of water. Random tries to explain what happened, but Yaqub does not believe him. His men fail to notice the security system attached to the water containers and began to take them to the elevator. Yaqub leaves Random, who is tied to a chair, in order for him to be arrested for the assassination of Shah and the hitman. However, as they attempt to walk away with the water, an alarm sounds which notifies the cops. Just then, Pari activates and unties Random's hands. Yaqub is apprehended by the cops and his gang because they only care about the gallons of water being smuggled. Finally, the couple is able to flee via a hidden passage.